BA Masterminds, all the gold masterminds with an exclusive Zoom session regarding BVMF with special guests Howard, Andre, Peter, and David. This is Tuesday, the 16th of September. Good evening to everybody. As you well know, I'm Mark Bruins. I'm founder and owner of BA Masterminds. You're all my gold BA Masterminds. You've all either completed it or still busy completing the course. There's a few agenda items that I'm going to cover for 15 minutes. And then after that, for the next half an hour, we got something really exciting to announce. We've got some strategic business partners with us on the call as well today. So I'm going to discuss a few things, and then we are going to hand over to Howard and to David and to Andre and to Peter. So maybe if you all want to say just hello. David, you're unmuted. Do you just want to say hello and say your name?
Hello everybody, I'm 𝗕𝗩𝗠𝗙. I'm author of Business Value Maximisation Framework.
Howard.
Yeah, my name's Howard Locke, Senior Business Analyst, here to talk about BAs, recruitment and BVMF.
Brilliant. Andre.
Thank you. My name is Andre. I'm a Senior Business Analyst, contractor. I've completed the Gold Mentorship Program with Mark, and I had the privilege of attending the very first BVMF framework workshop in London. Thank you very much.
And lastly, Peter.
Thank you very much, Mark. My name is Peter 𝗕𝗩𝗠𝗙. I'm a Senior Business Analyst. I've also completed the Gold Mastermind program with Mark. And like Andre said, I was also very privileged to attend the launch of the BVMF framework earlier this year.
Wonderful. Thanks for the introduction. So as I said, we're just going to do we're going to cover a few other agenda items first quickly, and then we will get stuck into BVMF. So firstly, I just want to go through the BCS International Diploma in Business Analysis. So there are 40 of my students who have signed up for the course. They've got massive discounts, 72% off, and they've got a year to complete the course. But I see very few people are actually doing the oral exam, which is the last portion to getting your diploma. So it's 4 modules that you need to pass, and then you need to do the oral preparation workshop and then the oral exam. The oral exam is with 2 invigilators that work for the BCS, and it's for an hour long, and they quiz you and they test your practical experience. Now, it's a good thing to finish what you start, and you've already paid for the BCS diploma. So if there's anybody that is interested in completing the BCS oral exam in the next 2 months, then reach out to me and say, I've completed all the modules. I haven't done the oral exam yet, because we're going to organize a group workshop and a group discount so that we can all complete it. I'm one of them. I'm a guilty party. I did 2015, 2016. I did my 4 modules. I have not done the oral. So I'm also really keen on doing the oral exam. Yeah, that's the first thing. The next one is thank you all for joining me on this call, or us on this call. I see we got 23 participants. That's really, really good. So you've all completed or busy completing the Gold Mastermind, the Gold Mentoring Program. We launched that in August 2021. That was version 1. In September 2022, that was version 3. And then we launched version 6 in April this year. And now in September, we've launched version 7. So all of you are going to get full access to version 7. You just need to send me an email or show interest somehow. Send me an email, send me a WhatsApp, ask for the access, and then Petro, my esteemed colleague, she will send you the instructions. It's very easy to join. I'm going to just share my screen quickly, and I'm going to show you how this looks, how the program looks. Okay, so it's all online. It's self-paced. You can do it in your own time. It's the 4 pillars. We still got the 4 pillars, and it's 2 stages per pillar. So pillar 1 is stage 1, stage 2. Pillar 2 is stage 3, stage 4, etc. So pillar 1, stage 1, the awakening. These are the 8 mindset assignments. You all remember all of these mindset assignments except assignment review. So basically, if you go to one of them, then you can watch the video. They're not very long. You know that I appreciate your time. and a value. That's the word. I value your time, because time is something, a commodity that we can't ever get back. So I have made these videos as short as possible, explaining to you what you need to do, why you need to do it, how you need to do it, and then you go and do it. So it's a video that you watch, and then you can download some completed assignments. These are sometimes submitted assignments from our masterminds, and we've anonymized these. We've redacted the information, but it's so that if you've got any questions about how to do the assignment, you can see how other people have completed the assignment, and it'll inspire you, hopefully, to complete yours even better. And then you download your assignment, and you know it's going to be in Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. Excuse me, I'm not feeling very well today. Got a bit of a cold. And then you can upload your assignment and mark it as complete. And so you can work your way entirely through the different lessons and assignments. So basically how it works is we'd prefer you to do it in order. So do a lesson, complete the assignment, submit the assignment, mark it as complete, and then go on to the next one. But I realize a lot of you people have already completed the Gold Mastermind program, and then you can just go back there and do it as a refresher. So certain things, perhaps you want to find out the 18 techniques to find jobs and the 4 methods to apply for jobs. You'll just go in stage 6 and do BAM position. Perhaps you want to learn about productivity and how to be highly productive, you know, then just do pillar 4, stage 7. It's all about BAM productivity. So show your interest, let me know via email or WhatsApp or LinkedIn message, and we'll grant you access for a full 6 months. If you require another 6 months, that's also fine. We'll give you another 6 months, but it's just some value that I want to give back, you know, to show my appreciation to our Gold Masterminds. We're on number 116 at the moment. We've signed 116. The price is now £3,797, and there is a 25% referral fee. So if you know somebody that wants to sign up, send them to me. We will have either a breakthrough session or a a breakthrough session or a career strategy session. And then if we find they're a good match, we'll have a 1-hour goal discovery session. And then we will take their card details, and we'll take their payment, and we'll start mentoring them. They've all got a 14-day fully unconditional money back guarantee. We've still got 0 people that have asked for their money back after 116. So we're doing really well. And then after the 14 days, we will pay you 25%, which is, what is it, 900? It's 950. It's 938 divided by 4, 950. So you will get £950 into your bank account as a back payment if you refer anybody. So please send us some referrals. Okay. Then one more thing that I want to carry on with is, you know, the market has changed. It's very challenging to secure a contract role. And even if you're not wanting to secure a contract role, if you want to secure a perm or a consultant role, you know, you're going to see a job description in the advertised job market, or you're going to be contacted through the hidden job market, or you're going to be headhunted for a position. There are 6 things that I want to talk you through right now. And basically, you need to focus on these 6 things when you are setting your goals, when you are setting your sights, when you say, I want to secure a new role. You need to focus on these 6 things. Number 1, the sector, public sector or private sector, or I don't care, any sector, I just want a job, okay? The public sector, in my opinion, salaries are not all that good. You know, there's not so, people are really in a comfort zone. I've worked in both sectors. I worked for the Leeds City Council. I've worked for the Western Cape government as well. And what I noticed firsthand is that the people are really in their comfort zone. You know, they're not really accountable because it's taxpayers' money, and they're not really that interested in climbing the corporate ladder. You know, but in the private sector, there's a lot of accountability, heads roll if you don't perform. People want to climb the corporate ladder and go from junior BA to senior BA to lead BA. You know, but that's, you need to focus on that. Because if you don't want to join the public sector, when you see a job, you just say public sector, no. It's to make up your mind a lot quicker. So that's number 1. Number 2 is the job title. So you're either going to be a business analyst or a senior business analyst or a lead business analyst. To do this, you need theoretical knowledge and practical experience. Theoretical knowledge, the BCS, International Diploma in Business Analysis, or the CBAP from IIBA. So you know what to do, why to do it, how to do it, tools, the techniques, the methods, the strategies, the templates. You learn that when you learn the theory and you write the exam and you pass. Okay? So that's how you climb from being a business analyst to being a senior business analyst. And practical experience is years of related working experience. So the longer you work as a business analyst and the more certificates you've got and the more responsibilities you take on, then you become a senior BA. Okay. Then the third one to consider is, what type of job would you like? Would you like a permanent job? Would you like a consultancy job working for the likes of PricewaterhouseCoopers or Deloitte or Tata Consulting Services? Or do you want to be a contractor? Or you can say, I'm open to perm and I'm open to contract, but not to consultant. Or I don't want perm, I want consultant or contracting, or only contracting. So you need to figure that out as well. Then the next thing is the industry or the domain that you'd like to work in. For instance, banking or financial services or insurance, London markets, telecommunication, transportation, oil and gas. Choose the domain or industry that you'd like to work in based on the industry experience you already have. So if you've got 5 years banking experience, you should be open to banking. If you've got no banking experience, forget about getting into banking. If you want to get into banking, go work for a consulting firm. Let them outsource you to a bank so you can gain banking industry knowledge, right? And sometimes it's easier to discount certain sectors that you don't want to work in. For instance, online gambling or alcohol or tobacco or any of those. You say, no, I don't want to work in those. Those are bad for people. So you can either choose a domain or discount certain domains. The next one is a big one. You need to upskill and learn AI for business analysis. We are busy compiling free courses in a playlist on our YouTube channel that should be available this week still. Pardon. So you need to upskill and learn some artificial intelligence for business analysis. And the next one, and that's where we're going to start here with BVMF, because I need to stop talking, is your niche. What do you want to specialize in as a business analyst? Because this will make you stand out. This will make you highly valuable. So either process automation or Salesforce or ServiceNow or Oracle or SAP or cloud or cybersecurity or data. But we are going to look at a viable option for you, which you could choose your niche. And that's the business value, sorry, not the, David, I stand to correction, business value maximization framework, or BVMF, okay? And that could be your niche or your speciality. So before I hand you over to Howard, who's going to talk first, I just want to share one image on the screen with everybody so you can get a general idea of what is included in this framework. Business analysis, IT service management, waterfall and agile. Those are the methodologies. Project, program, portfolio management, lean, Six Sigma. We've heard about Six Sigma, black belts, green belts, yellow belts, architecture and frameworks, and benefits management. And just as a high level, what I am really excited about is the fact that 70% of IT projects around the world fail. And the whole idea of David, because it's his brainchild, is to flip that on its head and get 70% of projects around the world to pass, to succeed, because that's where the businesses make value. If you invest 2 or 3 years in an IT project and it's waterfall and it costs 4 million and it doesn't come to fruition, or there's no benefits, or it doesn't go live, or it gets scrapped, it's an absolute waste of time, money, and resources that you can't buy back. I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to ruin anything. And without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Howard. All yours, Howard.
Thanks, Mark. So yeah, for those who don't know me, my name is 𝗕𝗿𝗺𝗕. I'm a senior business analyst. I started my IT career or business analysis career in 1999. So I'm now in year 26. I have pretty much been a sort of consultant business analyst a majority of my career, but I actually went independent fully in 2018 as an independent contractor consultant. Also a bit of a rare breed in the fact that not only am I an active sort of business analyst consultant, I also run a recruitment and resourcing business that I set up at the tail end of the pandemic, and we have successfully placed circa 100 people during that time. 80% of those have been contractors, majority of business analysts. So I specialise in business analysts and business analysis as a service with my clients. So we do other roles, but the main focus really is around sort of business analysis. So yeah, so I'm a bit of a rare breed. There's not many BAs that actually also do recruitment and resourcing. So the way that works is I have consultancy clients that come to me. They say, how would I need a BA? I work out what they're looking for, what's the project type, what's the resource profile they're looking for. I've got quite a big pool of associates that I go to first. So Mark talks about the hidden job market. So that's a good example. Whereas client comes to me, I've got an associate in my pool that with that skill set, I then match the two before posting a job on LinkedIn. So you'll probably never see that job on LinkedIn. So that's a little bit about the how 𝗕𝗿𝗺𝗕 and 𝗕𝗿𝗺𝗺 Consulting Limited. So I've known Mark for circa 5 years, and we formed an official partnership at the tail end of last year. So we're going to come on to sort of discounts for BVMF in the next course shortly. But yes, I've known Mark for 5 years. I was fortunate enough to get introduced to David last year. I officially met David. Jacobs obviously is the author, creator and founder of BVMF. So back in November last year, I was excited to learn about what this new framework was. David showed me some of the models. I thought, wow, these are powerful. I'd never quite seen anything like it. I sort of said to David, have you thought about fully commercializing BVMF? So he'd been creating it for 25 plus years. So within BVMF framework, you've got circa 100 models or variants thereof and 500 techniques. So there's a lot to it. And yeah, when I saw a lot of these models, I thought, wow, this is good. It could be a bit of a game changer. David and I talked about the potential that there's a new role that the industry's been missing for years, and that is a business value maximisation specialist. So I think Mark's sharing BVMF Limited. Okay, yeah, so David and I set up BVMF Limited, and yeah, because I was blown away with these models. So I said, why don't we do a bit of a pilot? So you'll see Peter on this call and Andre. So they attended our sort of launch pilot event back in April this year. So it was quite experimental. So we were playing back some of the models, some of the techniques, talking about some of the project failures that have been going on. So Mark's spot on. Over the last sort of circa 40 plus years, 70% of projects either fully fail or partially fail to meet expectation. Again, whether this is down to spend over budget, over time, or just the project didn't deliver what was expected. The whole ethos behind BVMF is around obtaining maximum value, success and ROI. So you can do it at project level, program level, you could even do it at defects level. So all the models are slightly different. David can talk about some of those, but they're all slightly different. You use them at different times. Most of them you can use them before you start something to understand where you're likely to get optimal value. You can use them during to double check and keep checking that you're going to get value from what you're doing. And again, you can check them at the end, but it's very different to anything out there. So when I tried to understand it and where it fits into other frameworks, I realized quickly that as BAs would probably likely to do BCS, IIBA, etc. And obviously if you're sensible, you see Mark and become a BA mastermind. So that's us BAs. Then you've got project managers typically do APM or Prince 2. You've got architects that typically probably qualify in TOGAF, and then service specialists in ITIL. So BVMF sort of covers fills the gaps in all of those other methodologies. So it doesn't really go head to head with any of them. It doesn't clash with any of them, and it doesn't rival any of them, because it's the only framework I've ever seen that relentlessly focuses on obtaining value, success and ROI. So it doesn't clash with anything, and it effectively it fills the gaps where other methodologies and frameworks don't. I mean, there's bits of value, business architecture has value streams, etc. You'll have, value in other methodologies, but they're not relentlessly focusing on value. So that's the key difference between, anything else I've seen in my 25+ year career in change and transformation. Obviously, David can talk about BVMF a bit more in a second. But yeah, so I was excited. We did the pilot launch over a weekend at the end of April. We took all that feedback from everybody, and what we've been doing now is refining all the material into proper courseware. And the next session we've got planned, or next course we've got planned, is middle of November. So, being a strategic partner with Mark, what we've done is we've said that we'll give an 80% discount to any BAM members. So that discount, so this is the 2-day course as Mark showed in the middle, so that's level 2 core. So typically that costs you £1,000. So we're doing an 80% discount for BAM members. So it will be £200 plus VAT. For that, it's two full days. You get lunch on both days, and at the end of it, you will get a certificate of attendance. We do have a 3-day course. If you actually want a certificate with an exam at the end of it, that's a separate thing. But the next course we're doing is this 2-day weekend. We've done it at the weekend so it doesn't clash with anybody's day jobs, and we're trying to make it as attractive as possible. So, I mean, we truly believe that the world needs value specialists. It's definitely a niche, because you can be a business analyst and a business value maximization specialist. I think that's the key important bit here. The jigsaw puzzle diagram that Mark showed earlier, that's to show that BVMF fits into everything. If you have looked at the website, you'll also see the sort of tower blocks, showing that things can be quite shaky in projects, and BVMF is here to address some of those shakiness and fill the gaps. But yeah, I mean, I truly believe that this is going to be a game changer, and if you onboard early, become a value specialist, it will make you definitely more unique in the marketplace. The market has got much tougher. It's getting harder out there, and companies are starting to squeeze budgets on capex and opex expenditure. So going in with that value specialist hat on, as well as your core BA skills, it's definitely going to set you ahead of the rest. So I think I've been talking for long enough now. So it's time probably to hand over to David. So David is the author, creator and founder of BVMF. So making a special guest appearance for us. So I hand over now to David.
Well, thank you, Howard. Very good description, I will say, and also Mark. Let me just correct one little thing, if I may. There's a bit of nuance here. In the jigsaw diagram which Mark put up, you will see squares that have kind of so-called traditional disciplines that you will all recognize, yeah? And then you will see BVMF in the blue. What we're saying here is that all those existing disciplines, your business analysis, Lean Six Sigma, all that stuff, right, is conjoined and enhanced and glued together by business value maximization framework in a way that nothing else has done before. Another kind of analogy I've got is that the industry's been trying to make a sandwich for many decades with 2 pieces of bread and no filling in the middle. And I've always found this rather strange. Let me just give you a quick bit of background on me. I too am a senior business analyst. That's my day job. I'm yet another one, okay? Before that, I was an analyst programmer. I formally became a BA nearly 30 years ago in the late 90s. I was, before that, 15 years as an analyst programmer. And before that, and this is quite important, I spent 10 or 12 years in marketing information analysis and research, the whole job of helping businesses tell stories with numbers and use numbers to help them get where they were trying to go. So when I came into IT in the 1980s, I immediately found that I could sort of naturally bridge, if you like, between IT, or computing, it was as it was then called, and the business. And in the 80s, I found myself sort of refereeing and sorting out quite hairy situations which no one could sort out. As we went into the 90s, this two-way kind of mediation skill that I had became very multifaceted, because I'm a rather polyglot, polymathic character outside of my work as well as in this IT business work. And through the 90s, I realized, well, you know what, all this bridging stuff, even if it's multi-pointed, is a means to an end. What is the end? Getting value, getting return on investment, like Howard said, getting a result. And this, you know, one thing I've always found very strange about this industry, and this is on a global perspective, is that most people in it don't seem to actually focus on what it's all supposed to be doing and what the end result is supposed to be. And I've always found that a bit surreal. And not only that, but the fact that it's gone on for decades and decades and decades. And if you come on the course, you will see me presenting evidence, real evidence in front of your eyes, that this sort of skirting round the whole value paradigm has been going on for 50 or 60 years. So Howard and I, yes, we are very excited, and we're glad to be working with Mark. We are making some real progress on this. We ran this first course back at the end of April in Hertfordshire, in a lovely Jacobean mansion. And on the BVMF website, it's not that easy to find. There is a 2.5 to 3 minute video, which is a rather nice little video of us running that course. And it's at the end under the news or the blog. And if you poke around there, you'll find it. So that's kind of where BVMF came from. By the late 1990s, I had, you know, about half of this framework, and it took me a very long time to get it to a point where we could commercialize it, mainly when I met Howard at the end of last year. And Howard's doing an amazing job kind of rolling it out and working with people like you, Mark. And this is something that I always really needed. So, you know, the reason I give you this background is this wasn't something that I dreamt up on the back of a fag packet last week because I thought it would sell in marketing terms. I was shocked to my core in the 1990s at the amount of failure. And here's one little quote for you. Around 2000, 2001, a guy called 𝗕𝗩𝗠, who was president of Certus, one of the IT Directors Associations, said, looking at the crazy amount of failure to meet expectations in the 1990s, you know what, people, we obviously need a whole new approach. And me thinking, boy, yeah, I thought that 10 years ago. I sent a message to this guy, David, and I said, David, not only do I agree with you, I've been working on that thing, a whole new approach, for the last 10 or 12 years, but it's really hard to get a message out in this world, ladies and gentlemen. So I am very pleased and happy and excited to be working with Howard, Mark, and everybody, that this is happening. And you can see that video. Now, I do have like a one sheet of A4, which has got some really good, clear introduction to BVMF links on it, but I do need to clear it with Howard first, because he is the gatekeeper of all the literature that we put out. But I've done webinars for the IIBA, which have been recorded. I've got quite a few articles around on various websites. I've got a YouTube channel it's under MaxVal, which is my company, as well as BVMF Limited with Howard. And there are 7 videos on that YouTube channel, including the Phantom's course video. So what else can I say? It's called a framework, but you will hear this if you come on the course. It's possibly not like what you would expect a framework to be. It's a framework, yeah. It's a skill set as much as anything, and it's a mindset. The mindset is you obsessively care and focus on value and what you're going to get out of it for the business or the organization at every single step. And I suppose I would sum up the framework to say it's all the missing pieces. That's what that jigsaw diagram is trying to show. There are many missing pieces, which you will see if you come on the course, that allow you to focus on value, that show you what is value, where is value, what is it made up of. I kind of use this analogy of baking a value cake, yeah? Out there in IT world, all the ingredients of value are not really that clear, and the recipe steps are not clear. In BVMF and on our courses, it is very clear, and it will put you in a very strong position. You will find, if you pick up on these skills, that you potentially have an exciting time, but you will find that because 75% of projects have been failing all this time, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. You will have the skill that everybody needs. And as Howard once said to me a few weeks ago, why would nobody want this? Well, absolutely. But this industry has a bit of a strange thing about it, that it's sort of, it almost doesn't understand value. Well, if you come on our course, you will understand it. We will make sure that not only do you understand it, you can go back to your company and work in a very quite a polymathic, multi-skilled way. Yeah, it's a framework around value, and it's also allows you to be a business value maximization specialist, which means you can use the framework, but you also kind of help to glue all those people together. In the same way, back in the 80s and the 90s, I was able to be going to the directors of the company, well, look, guys, I think what you need to do is blah, blah, and then I'm talking to IT, look, and you guys, work with me on this, and blah, blah. Yeah. This, like Howard said before, we think this is a role that's just been missing. All these people have been banging away. You've got the CIO, you've got the Scrum Master, you've got this, you've got that, and they're not gluing together around a really strong end result, are they? So that's what it's all about. I think that's probably about all I'm going to say at the moment, but I'm always happy to answer questions. And I think I will talk to Howard and Mark about maybe getting a little select version of this A4 introduction to BVMF sheet and all the links. Almost everything is linked. You just click it and you're there. Thank you for listening to me. See you soon.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much for that. That was very enlightening. And now we're going to talk with, we're going to let Andre speak first, and then we're going to let Peter speak as well. Andre finished the BAM Gold mentoring program. He was part of group 7, I think it was. And I think he finished end of last year, beginning of this year. I think Peter was about 2 or 3 years ago, but I'll let them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about the April launch and the first course that they did. Without further ado, Andre, and then after that, we are going to take questions and answers. So David and Howard will kindly stay on, and we can take any questions and answers. First come, first serve in the chat. Type your questions away, and I'll read them out, and we'll get them answered. All right, Andre, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Yeah, I think what else to add to this, from the experience of somebody who attended the first 2 days, the launch, it was a bit of a surreal experience, if I'm being honest. Everything that David put together in all of his kind of career, when he was kind of brewing all of that into his in his cauldron, it was played back to us. There was a group of people, I think I want to say maybe like around 20, 25 people there.
24.
Yeah, 24 people at the time. And it was very eye-opening at certain points. It was a perspective and the way of thinking that I felt like a lot of people had somewhere in the back of their heads, you know, kind of thinking about it, but never really coming to some sort of a conclusion.
Very good.
But when it was presented to us, and there was some very interesting, very compelling diagrams presented as well, and it was clicking. And it was 2 full days of a lot of information, a lot of good discussion as well. It wasn't just David and Howard talking to us. It was us contributing to the discussion, contributing to the information and giving our own experiences. So it was a fantastic 2 days that I personally spent there. Met some more new people as well. We obviously have a WhatsApp group as well, where we were sharing some of the experiences and talking about how we can take those ideas that we discussed and straight away put them in practice in our day-to-day works. My personal specialty is kind of ERP implementations, and this is immediately for me, like I immediately saw the value of BVMF in this kind of field, because businesses, you know, they put a lot of effort, they put a lot of budget and money into ERP implementations, and very often it just doesn't go the way they expect them to go. And putting BVMF into this, I think for me personally would be a very valuable skill set for me as a contractor, as a consultant, to have behind my back. I think it just would make my value proposition as a contractor, as a consultant, much more appealing to the clients that I'm working with, but also I would be so much more efficient and more impactful at my day-to-day job. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about this. I'm looking forward to our next session. I was looking forward to it, and when the conversation picked up again in the chat, I was like, yes, I want to be there. I want to do it. I want to see what Howard and David were cooking in their laboratory, and we're excited to that. So
perfect.
let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks, Andre. That's really kind words. And just so everybody knows, so the 2-day session in November, what Andre is talking about is slightly different. We've got a 1-day recall session on the 5th of October. That's what Andre and Peter are coming to. So that's slightly different. So that's a recall from the April event that we're going to play back from. There's a lot of questions asked, so we're playing back some of those Q&A. So that's what the 1-day recall is. But the course we've mentioned with 80% discount, that is 15th and 16th of November, just to make that clear. But thank you, Andre. Very kind words. Thank you.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Andre. So he mentioned something very, very important, right? So let's just cover that. What is your primary goal as a business analyst contractor? In my opinion, you know, the entire goal mentoring program is my opinion. It's the golden prize, the 3 things. Do you all remember what the golden prize is? To get your contract extended when it's about to expire, to get more money, a higher remuneration, and to get a promotion from a BA to senior BA, BA to lead BA, and I call that the golden prize. Then the silver prize is get a contract extension and either a promotion or an increase in salary. And what is the bronze prize? Contract extension. So from day 1 in your business analyst contract role, you are focusing the whole time on getting that contract extension. Not because you have to accept it. If they offer you a contract extension, you do not have to accept it, but at least it puts you in the position where you can negotiate. You can say, right, you want me to stay on, but then I want £50 more per day, and I'm doing senior BA work, promote me to a senior BA. You have that leverage. So how do you get that leverage? You add value. You go above and beyond what's expected of you in your day-to-day duties. You don't just look at the job description and do what's required of you. You go the extra mile. And also that you can provide value. And how can you provide value? Well, with this BVMF. If you come in like Andre and you start introducing all those things and the end client gets a lot of value, they're not going to let you go. They're going to hang on to you. They're rather going to let another business analyst contractor go. All right. So thanks for that, Andre. That was really good. Peter, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. And thank you, Andre, for that, because I'm just going to add on top of it, instead of repeating what Andre has already said. So apart from being appealing and apart from all of the back and forth we had with Mark and Howard in questioning and understanding the content of the BVMF, what again stood out was how the framework glued to all of the other frameworks. you know, for example, like when you look at Lean Six Sigma, you hear things like error proving, mistake proving. So how David is sort of shared some frameworks that provides value from the start of a project, where he was talking about some features on a project. So identifying those features from the start and building that value. He did explain a framework that brought in some calculations, which means it's also data driven to back the choice of the fixture and the value behind that fixture. So that sort of build up was something that really stuck with me, that I'm looking forward to for this record session, so that I can get a handle on those framework, and I'm able to demonstrate them from maybe the start of a new project, just so that the value is visible to my client.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, so to add to that, just quickly, that because the framework and the models and the techniques are relentless around the value side of things, it does make you think of things in a different way. So as David said, it's a mindset, and it's also a way of working. So it's a bit like, I see myself as a supercharged BA now. So not only can I do what I normally do, capture requirements, engineer processes as is in 2B, etc. I'm also focusing as well on value. And now if a client sees that you are actually focused on value, not just consuming money for them, you're actually relentlessly focused on it, then that's another huge string to have in your bow. And there's nothing really else out there that sort of, not forces you, because that's a strong word, but it makes you fully conscious of what value you're going to get. Now, lots of projects, in my experience, you might have a business case, and a lot of the benefits can be quite aspirational, especially their financial benefits. So these are usually fairly aspirational to get projects funded and started. But what BVMF does is quantifies where you're actually going to get the value from. You might have perceived value, but what BVMF and the models do is allow you to actually quantify that. And even David has got a formula for net value. So in the course, if you come and join us, you'll see that there is a proper true formula how to obtain net value out of something you do. So value doesn't necessarily just mean financial. It could be reputation, it could be morale within an organization, it could be all of the above, and a lot more. So it's not just sort of financial value, it is what's the likely value. And there's a few models in there that are very powerful, and it's very clear where the value is coming from, and no other methods I've ever been taught in my 25-year BA career would allow you to do that. So that's one of the big powerful elements of it. So thanks guys. Back over to you, Mark.
Okay, let's get stuck into the questions. The first one is from Sharon. Are there any sectors that are using the framework more than any other sectors? Howard, do you want to give that a go?
Yeah, so as we're only just going through the early life of commercializing this, so David's obviously used a lot of these models in his career. He can probably talk about that in a moment, in multiple sectors. So it's not sector specific. It's probably very, very sector agnostic. A lot of the models lend themselves to IT related business change projects and transformations. David and I've talked about this. It can work in non-IT business related change, but predominantly, if you're making a change or implementing any type of IT system or solution, that's the strengths of BVMF. So yeah, it's completely sector agnostic. David, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, thanks, Howard. Yeah, Howard's right. It's not specific to any sector. That's the whole point. It's for projects and related work which typically involve some sort of business process which is supported by some sort of IT. The framework, about 65% maybe of the framework, will actually work for non-business IT work and also even non-IT work, but I deliberately developed it for IT projects that have IT in, because this is where value was just not coming through. It is sector, even function agnostic. You get a whole load of models, techniques, concepts which allow you to go in and get big amount of value in almost any situation. What I would say is there are some sectors that probably need it more than most. For example, the public sector, which we're trying to get into, because, you know, it's about a service, isn't it? And yeah, there's just talk and furore all the time about government running out of money, wastage, you know, NHS struggling. So we'd love to get in these sectors, and it would be great if some of you, ladies and gentlemen, could become business value maximisation specialists, and people will see how different it is when one of us is involved on a project. We look forward to that day. It is early days in the commercialization, as Howard has sort of said, but we think we're going to be going up very steeply as things can happen in this industry. Definitely, we're definitely on a bit of an upward, quite a fast curve now, I would say.
Yeah, and if you look at the BVMF.info website, you will see the testimonials on there are all genuine testimonials that David's had across since he's been applying these as an individual, you know, not as a company, as an individual, where he's been testing and trying these models. Thank you very much, Mark. So all of these are, again, you look down, there are very, very different sectors. So these are people that have said, David, this is fantastic. You've applied some BVMF. We'd never heard of it before. And they wouldn't have done, because obviously it's David's the author and creator, and he was using these models and techniques as an individual. So yeah, take a look at those.
Okay, great. The next question is a recruitment question. So Howard, if you can take this one, it's from Sham. Sham is currently on stage 6. I just released to him. So he's a current Gold Mastermind. So what I meant to my masterminds is to be consistently headhunted for your education, certification, knowledge, skills, expertise, your industry, your sector, and then your speciality or your niche. So this is a very good question from Sham. When do you anticipate the skills, BVMS, so these are the specialists, that's a certification, start to become in demand in the market on job specifications or must-have requirements? Example, BVMF specialist skills needed. Howard?
That is a fantastic question. So I think when people start to realize the roles exist, people start to realize there's people out there with these specialist skills. So at the moment, the market is not aware of them. You know, we're saying that we think there's going to be, you know, it's a whole role that complements us BAs. So it won't just complement BAs, it will complement, you know, project managers, change professionals, people in transformation, right up to C-suite, because they've actually got responsibility, and obviously a finance director at that level. So it's just that penetration into the market. So this is, you know, if you do attend the course in November, you are going to be an early adopter, and if you've got BVMS on your CV, you'll probably get recruiters asking you what that is, and you're you know, but they won't be aware of it. But we're going to be doing a full marketing campaign. So once we've done the course in November, where the plan is we're going to get even more feedback, we're doing more refinement, but then we're going to do a massive. So during 2026, I've got a strategy that I'm working on that will not only improve the awareness to recruiters, but to consultancies, and obviously to all my huge network of business analysts and associates. So yeah, it's early days yet. So you know, being an early adopter is definitely going to put you in a strong position. So you get that on your CV long before anyone else does, and that will make you much more valuable. And then, you know, when I get roles in the hidden job market, becoming an associate of 𝗕𝗏𝗪𝒀 Consulting means that I come to you as well, knowing that you're a value specialist, and therefore, you know, my clients will be, I will put value specialists before, you know, any non-value specialist BAs that are experienced, because that's obviously, you know, I believe fully and wholeheartedly that not only are we going to have value specialists, but I think there's going to be a whole new C-suite role. And again, you can mark this in history. I think we're going to have chief value officers at C-suite level in the future once this is fully embedded. You know, originally we had CEOs, CIOs, CFOs as the key ones. Now we've got chief data officers, we've got obviously chief finance officers, which have been there for a while, but you know, we've got chief security officers, CISO. So there are new roles that are added. So you know, the C-suite range of people is definitely increasing, and I do genuinely believe that sometime in the near-ish future, people realise that they need a chief value officer. And again, if you've been doing it, living and breathing it, and working up through the ranks, you know, who knows? You know, you could be in there saying, look, I've been a value specialist for 2-3 years. You know, I live and breathe it, use it every day. So yeah, I think it is a game changer for sure.
Thanks, Howard. Brilliant. That's a really good answer. Sham, so the reason, you know, it's very important that we realize this. It's all about networking, upskilling, and tapping into that hidden job market where recruiters like Howard know which skills you got. They've got your CV on your database and they're aware you've got these new skills. So thanks for that. The next question is from Jazz. This question will probably be for David. Does the term value in the framework relate to business benefits, or does this relate to something different?
Yeah, net benefit. That means all the benefit in all the different types, and we take in quantifiable benefit, qualitative benefit, and all that stuff. You will see that in the course. We put it together in all kinds of different ways and break it down. Minus, you know, there's this thing, benefits minus the disbenefits. There are a lot of negatives that go on, and one way we make sure that the overall result gets the absolute maximum result is that we try to minimize the negatives and maximize the positives, and we have a whole load of models and techniques for doing that, and it works pretty well. I don't know if it was Howard or Mark put some of the comments up that some of the people had said about me and the framework, some of those in the early days when it wasn't formally a framework, but kind of a way I went about doing my job. But thanks for putting that up. All those quotes are absolutely real, and we haven't tinkered with them at all, I'm glad to say. And we're looking forward to getting some more of those very soon.
All right, wonderful. Maybe you'd like to elaborate on your answer, because somebody asked MV, I'm not quite sure who MV is. Would you be able to say what percentage of BVMF is about mindset?
Well, I can't put a number on it, although I am known as the man who, if it is conceivably possible to put a number on something, I will do it. And I will, for example, show you how you can kind of put together, equate in inverted commas, tangibles, and I don't call them intangibles, I call them less tangibles, because they still exist and they're important. Well, I'll have a think, but I mean, we got a framework, we got a skill set, we got a mindset. It's just so important to care about doing it, and I always did. And you do come across a surprising amount of people in this industry who sort of don't seem to care about what comes out the sausage machine at the other end. I'll have a think about putting a number on it.
I can probably add to that then, David.
30%, I don't know. It's got to be there. Otherwise, the rest of it is not. Is that right, Howard?
I think so, yeah. I think so. To give it extra context, you know, the mindset bit is once you've learned these models, once you understand these techniques and guidelines and principles and how to use them, your mindset will change, because not only just going into a project like an analyst would on thinking about delivery, timeline, just, oh, I've got to capture all the functional requirements, or let's not forget non-functional requirements. Oh, we should probably think about the as-is process. Do we need to re-engineer it and create a 2B? overlaid on top of that is the mindset of now you're armed being a value specialist. You'll be going, right, okay, so okay, I get we're doing all this, guys, but where's the value going to come from? And are we going to get value from doing this? And just maybe challenging things. I mean, in my early career as a BA, I probably would challenge things less. Now, as long as I can justify a challenge, I will definitely raise it. And it's a bit like in a raid log, you raise a risk before it becomes an issue. And I think it's similar to that, having a new mindset around that focus on value and understanding you've got these techniques in your back pocket. You understand how these models work. You can do them in parallel, right? So when you come on the course, you'll see that during a project life cycle, you'll carry on doing the things you normally do, but you also will be thinking about the value, what models you can use and what techniques you can use to get that value. So you can do overt, covert, you could sort of run some of these models alongside the things that you're doing anyway. And then, you can come out in a meeting and say, well, actually, I've done some extra analysis and this is where I think the value is going to come from. And again, that's what it's there for. So that's why the mindset part is there, because it then makes you think of things in a different way. And, since I've been introduced to David and I think about things very, very differently now. So I'm thinking about value and not just, and the way I do it also is thinking, if it was my money, companies, obviously, we're workers' contracts and I've been a permie for a long time, but, if it was your money, would you do anything differently? And I'm pretty sure yes. So everybody on this call, if it was the actual company money, would they be interested in getting value or not? I'm pretty sure you would. It's a bit like as an individual and a person, you're clearly interested in getting value if it's your money. If it's somebody else's money, you should still be concerned, because that, saving or getting more value out of something that makes you more valuable as an individual, gives you more credibility, and again, it will bring you on to other things. And as Mark said earlier about the contract renewal, if you're showing value by giving some extra, even if they've not asked for it, you can say, well, actually, I've run some models and we can get some extra value here, guys. Have you thought about that? Why not? It's all about getting that value. So yeah,
that's very good. Thank you. To sum that up in a few words, a very nice man who hired me in the autumn of 1997 in my first official contract as a business analyst rather than a programmer, a few months later said, I like the way you go about things, David, because you always ask why. That one little 3-letter word. Why are we doing this? Because there's a lot of people shouting at each other in this industry, and no one seems to be that focused on why are we doing this. There's a book by Simon Sinek, some of you may have heard of, called Start With Why. That's a good recommendation from me. Thank you, Howard. Good description of I can ease back now and let you do all this, can't I?
Thank you for that. Neeraj asked the question, how is BVMF evolving to incorporate AI-driven insights or automation in value tracking and delivery?
Brilliant.
My favourite question.
Or shall I start, David? Okay. So obviously at the moment, AI and RPA, so robotic process automation, and obviously AI is huge out there. So there is actually a model that I can probably name in BVMF called Football Team Manager. Football Team Manager is really about what we should automate and what we shouldn't. So we can use that model to determine what, everybody wants to automate everything, but actually, you need to rationalize that. Humans do need to look at things. Humans do need to touch things. So how do you use BVMF with AI? Well, AI is a solution or potential solutions. So my first thing would say is, there's lots of AI solutions out there. So everybody's, hell bent on using AI. But remember, as BAs, AI is a solution. So as BAs, and value specialists, we need to understand what problem we're trying to solve first. So what I would say is that, we'll probably have a module on this around, I've got all these 10 AIs that can support my business. How can I use BVMF in order to determine which of these AI solutions will give me the value that I'm looking for? So it's sort of in reverse, right? So remember, AI BI and AI are all solutions, but you need to work out the problem you're trying to solve first, using BVMF to support which solution could I or should I. It's a bit like it, we've done it for years in solution options, do nothing, do an MVP or do Rolls Royce. This one's going to take this long, that one's going to take longer, that one's more expensive, but you get everything. It's a bit like that. We reverse engineer. So you've got 10 solutions being thrown at you. You're not sure which ones to go for. So use BVMF, work out where the value is going to come from. Use some of the models like Football Team Manager to work out what you should automate and what you shouldn't automate and why, and that will support you in those decisioning. So yeah. I don't know if David's got anything to add to that.
Well, I made some notes earlier today, actually, as I do several times through the day, every day. When someone says to me, "Oh, what about AI?" I would say the most important thing to ask is, what is your organization or business department trying to do and achieve? First thing. Second thing, what else could they beneficially be doing? Irrespective of how they do it, what else could they be doing business-wise or organizationally? What are they trying to do? And then the third bit was, what else could they do as facilitated by modern software? And that could be AI, it could be an ERP system, it could be goodness knows what these days. Now, that's what I call driving forwards. And a lot of this industry drives backwards, because as soon as we get something like AI, and we had this with cloud, we had this with XML, we had this with client server, people are going, oh, how are we going to use this? What are we going to, we're going to get left behind. But that's like driving your car all the way to work in reverse like this. You'd be erratic and all over the road and driving into a tree. You need to drive forwards. Where are we trying to go? And a car could help us. AI could help us. That's the way to think. But I can assure you, I'm working on the connections and how it is, because AI is the big thing at the moment. It will be coming into this arena, definitely. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that summary, David. I'm not sure if Howard or David want to take this one. It's from Inam. Is the future of BVMS an accredited certification that is recognized by businesses?
Well, I've said it is becoming so. With that is our aim. We're working on it. I think it will be very soon. And this forum here, with all us talking, is proof of that. I'm quite well connected in with the IIBA. I've been a mentor there for about 5 or 6 years, and a number of other organizations, how it is as well. And we are spreading our word strongly. Interestingly, we decided to go it alone, and I'm glad we did. We have not been waiting for the IIBA or the BCS, for example, because, to be brutally frank, how can I put this politely? They're quite a long way behind. Now, if you want to go and do BABOK or CBAP or any of these things, you do need to know how the industry thinks you should be doing this stuff, business analysting. But that is basic stuff. And for example, it's no secret that I'm not a massive fan of BABOK, for example, because I look at a lot of BABOK and go, blimey, what? I'm not even sure these people know what this is actually telling us. But you do need to know it, because you need to know what people think you should be doing. But we are going this alone. We're rolling it out. We're getting a lot of excitement. It's a lot of fun. It's taken a long time. We're doing it.
Yeah, so at the moment it is us.
You could help.
Yeah, so basically an official recognised qualification. Maybe in the future that's the route we go down. The thing is with IIBA and BCS is obviously they've got their own syllabus, so they've got their own exams, they've got their own, all the courseware, that they've got that. So because BVMF it's a whole lot more, because it's not just business analysts, it's really anybody in an organisation that wants to get value. Now, to me, it's from the FD, the CFO, right at the top there from a finance perspective, a CIO from an IT and technology change point of view, the CEO who's got a group global responsibility for the whole lot. So we will get there. At the moment, we're doing self-certification. So after the 2-day course, you get a certificate of attendance. If you come on the 3-day course, there is an exam at the end of it, right? So we are doing, so that there will be exam, but it will be, BVMF controlled, obviously, by David, who's the author, founder, creator. So obviously he's the best placed person to do that. But in the future, maybe, obviously we'll see how it goes of us doing it internally, and doing it that way. And if we decide that it's the right route to go, make it an official and examining body, certification and qualification, then yes, we may go down that route. But the immediate future, no, we've got no plans. When I say immediately, I mean over the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah, we've got a long question. It's from Sham again. When do you anticipate the skills business value specialists possess start to become in demand in the market on jobs? We've done this already. The next question is from Sharon. Does the framework include service design? Could this also be scalable with user research? David or Howard?
So service design. So if you're an ITIL professional, like I'm ITIL qualified, service design is within the ITIL. Now, what service design won't do is probably tell you where you're going to get value from doing something or not doing it. So again, because BVMF is complementary to everything else that's out there, it doesn't try and go head to head. So, we wouldn't say that BVMS, if you're going to use some of the models and techniques, is going to give you a better service design than ITIL framework, the support and the delivery side of things, because it doesn't clash with it. What it would do, if you are ITIL certified and you're designing a set of services, then you could use BVMF to say, well, actually, if I do this or don't do this, am I going to get some more or less value out of it? So I think they are different things. It's a bit like TOGAF, and it's a bit like, a project management methodology to say, should I go down the waterfall route? Should I go down the agile route? Again, it's not like that. These are things that you do as part of the journey. I think David's got his finger up there.
That's not wrong, but again, I want to just slightly tweak that a bit, right? When you say you've been on the course and you've learned some of these facets about value maximization, it will affect everything else you do. We do not try to reinvent all the other things that exist, like Prince and Agile and goodness knows what. All these things, there's no point in us reinventing those, but you will do them better. You will do them differently. They are very basic, a lot of those techniques. You will have a head on you that understands how the value arises, and you will find yourself service design. Absolutely, you could do that. Actually, it's not called ITIL now, it's called ITSM, I think now, but whatever, right? That's a detail. Yes, you will provide better service. You will design better service. You will do everything else better, because everything's melded together, like we've been saying here in the chat. We've got all these silos at the moment, and they're trying to do that, and that's trying to do this. This brings everything together because it's all about value and quality and getting a result at the end of the day. So we don't try and, I wouldn't want to replace all these other things like Prince and Babok and that. I think some of them are okay and most of them aren't very good. Learn BVMF and you will find yourself doing all those things better.
And to add to that, David, it goes back to that mindset. Once you've been trained, once you understand, once you're sort of immersed in it and you realize the power of it, that's where the mindset comes in. So if you're going to design a set of services and do service design or service architecture, you know, BVMF having that mindset will go, oh, okay, so we're doing this. So, you know, be thinking, well, what value are we going to get out of doing this service?
Oh.
You want all these services. So it will then focus you, sharpen you up, and force you in a way to think about the value of it. So not only would you then deliver a set of services, you would then be able to probably say to your client, well, you know, you're more likely to get value out of these services, and this is the reason, this is the quantifiable rationale, was why we believe you're going to get more value out of this, because we've run it through these models and we can prove it that you're going to get some more value. So again, it's complementary, not contradictory.
All right, thank you for that. I want to wrap this up, but we got one last question, so thank you. No more questions. This is a bit of a tough question, so I don't want to end this fantastic Zoom call on a bad note. So I'm hoping that either you, Howard, or David will flip this around and turn this into a positive. But it comes from Sharon. Using the framework as a consultant or contractor, has anyone come across any resistance while using this?
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose it depends how you find resistance, but I can tell you I've had people looking at me very blankly. And that's why 3/4 of projects have been failing for the last 56 years, ladies and gentlemen. You might think I'm a very strange beast, and it is possible, but I just went into this industry in the 80s, thoroughly enjoyed it, but I just thought, what is going on here? No one seems to be asking why or worried about what's coming out the other end, and it's just how my head worked. I have had some pretty sticky situations which you won't get for a number of reasons, and I did mention some of these at the course in April, and some people thought it was a bit strong, so I better be careful what I say, because I don't hold back, not just on this but in other things in my life. And I used to be a very callow, shy little boy and young man, and I just learnt what a load of old rubbish is talked out there in the corporate world, and I just don't stand for it. Therefore, I've had some sticky situations, but I'll tell you what, this is like a snowball rolling. Yeah, people will not be able to stop this, so they might as well join in with it, and that everybody stands to gain. Everyone's role will be enhanced. You know what makes me want to cry is the amount of wastage going on right this minute. You look at some of the projects that have gone down the drain. We're not talking, we're talking hundreds of millions of pounds just out the window. And
yeah, to add to that, David, so okay, so because BVMF will be new to people don't know what it is, people don't know what it isn't. Okay, and the only thing I'll compare it to is when they did the Agile Manifesto 24 years ago. You imagine the person, so we've been running waterfall projects for years and years and years and years. Somebody comes in and says, right, we're doing an Agile project. What's Agile? So there might be one person in that room and they're trying to convince a whole organization of 20,000 people that Agile is the new way of working. Obviously, it's going to be tough to start with. You have to start somewhere. So, all these early conversations, people say, well, that's ridiculous. We've always done, all the analysis and all the design and then the development and then the test and the implement. That's the way it's always worked. So, Agile was brought in. So this, obviously, there might be some resistance to start with until people realize the power of it. And then when people onboard it, people start adopting it. So I don't see it any different to 24 years ago when Agile first come on the table. And so yeah, I see it as the same as that. You'll get lovers and haters, but but Marmite exists and it always has done.
All right, thanks for that. I'm going to have to end it there, but I just want to perhaps wrap up on that. You don't have to call it what it is. You don't have to say it's the business value maximization framework. You just need to learn the skills, implement the skills, and see that the company benefits. You can call it what you want. It doesn't really matter. But if the company benefits, they are going to adopt it. Okay,
that's a good point, Mark.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, especially Howard and David. It's nice to meet you all again this evening. And if you've got any further questions, reach out to me. If you want to take up this very generous offer by David and Howard for a massive 80% off on their course, including lunch twice, right? Let me know. Reach out to Howard. Reach out to David. You know, I'm not making any referral fee. I don't want any. I'm promoting something that's of high value that will help business analysts and help my masterminds. That's all about strategic alliance partnerships and helping and serving the people that we love. All right.